That's it. Hey everyone, it's Lisa with Are You My Cousin? And it is time for our fun webinar this Tuesday evening. And I have Rick Voigt with me from Vivid-Pix. And we are going to be talking all about photos and metadata and documents and making them more readable and all that fun stuff that's kind of trips us up sometimes as researchers. So as you're coming in, if you don't mind, just giving me a thumbs up, let me know, or let us know where you're watching us from. It's a lot of fun to see where people are from. And it also lets us know that you can see and hear everything okay. So we already have Flo here from Oregon. So hey, Flo, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate, I'm glad that you're here. And Rick is coming to us from Charleston, South Carolina, and I am in outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. So we are all around. Hang on one second.
Right down the road from each other tonight.
Really, I know it was kind of funny when I first met you, and you're like, well, I'm from Charleston. I'm like, whoa, that's, usually I'm meeting people all over. So, hey, Robin's from California. So we're glad that you're here. It does take a few minutes for people to kind of find us and tell us. Hey, Kathy from Detroit. Wonderful. And we have Joan. Hey, Joan from Phoenix, and Susan from another Oregonian from Portland, and Ginger from Arkansas. Oh my gosh, you guys from all over. Yay. It was so funny. I was on a call earlier today, guys, and talking to somebody, and she was, I believe in, I want to say Colorado, or maybe maybe Northern California. And she was saying it was cold there, and it was like 38 degrees. And guys, I've been wearing shorts today. I don't know about you, Rick, but it's
been smoking here today. We got the AC on. It's hot.
Yeah, yes. It is unseasonably warm here in the Southeast. And so, yes, I've been wearing shorts. So, I know she was laughing at me. So, oh gosh, we have we have Veronica from Australia. Yay, it's midday on Wednesday. So we're talking through 2 days. How's that? Hey, Karen from Georgia, Alethea from Ontario, Laurel's from Ontario as well. Hey, Kathy, good to see you again.
Hey, Flo from Corvallis, Oregon. I used to go out there a bunch when I was with HP. Know it well.
Really? Okay. We have Judy from Baltimore, and Kelly. It's flying by so fast, guys. I'm having trouble keeping up. Pennsylvania. Oh, we have Louise from Raleigh. Yay. Okay, so I'll wave at you. You're here close to me. Barb from Colorado Springs. You had snow there. Yes. And we have Robin's here. Okay, Robin already has a question for you. She said, I have a black and white family portrait that I've tried to colorize with Vivid-Pix Restore, but couldn't colorize. Any suggestions? All right. Hold that thought.
We don't have colorization.
That would be my thing. Yes. If you're going to colorization, probably the easiest thing would be, I guess, MyHeritage is where I go usually.
Yep.
For that. Kathy said you'll keep your snow and I can keep my hurricanes. I know. Okay. We're actually kind of fortunate. We have been pretty good. At least here, I guess, Rick, I don't know if you guys have had a hurricane come through yet or not. We've gotten some remnants of things, but my friends in the Louisiana and on the Gulf Coast, what was she telling me? She said, I am so tired of the Hurricane of the Month Club. She said, they've really been getting hammered in the Gulf. So I really do feel for you guys if any of you guys are out there as well. So, okay, Rick, Marilyn is on here, and she went to school with you in Michigan.
Marilyn, you did?
Marilyn Pavor, P-E-V-O-R. And the funny thing is, Marilyn, your last name, okay, my maiden name is Talbot. So that's really kind of funny, actually. So, small world there.
Well, Marilyn, I hate to tell you, you must have known if I went to school in the 60s. So it depends on what school meant. So in the 60s would have been elementary school.
I was going to say, wait a minute. That's, because.
So maybe another Rick Voigt.
Could be.
My cousin John the actor, common last name. Are
you related to John Voigt?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. The way you said that, I was like, oh, maybe yeah. I didn't know. Could have been. Okay, Robin talked about the colorization didn't work at MyHeritage either, other than their faces. So Robin, actually, if you, when all's said and done, if you will just message me on Facebook or send me an email, I will reach out to MyHeritage because I know some folks over there and ask them about that for you.
And I'd be happy to discuss the colorization that MyHeritage has. I'm certainly
Okay.
aware of the different softwares that are available in the marketplace, and the MyHeritage colorization is a cool tool.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Well, guys, I think I'm sure people will be kind of coming and going as we go. As you can tell, if you guys have questions as we go along, absolutely pop them into the comments. I'm monitoring them though, as Rick will go through some things for us. And if I happen to miss your question, just rewrite it and put it back in again, because sometimes things fly by so far if I get too many people that I lose track. So I do have paper and I'm going to make notes, but if I miss something, please just put it in again. No, it wasn't intentional. It just means it flew by too quick there. So, oh, hey, Judy. Judy's here from Concord, North Carolina, which is where I grew up. So yeah, that's pretty fun.
And Marilyn, thank you for qualifying that you went to school with a Rick Voigt, not me, Rick Voigt. So thank you.
And that might have been me reading it, interpreting it wrong and saying that. So, okay, gotcha.
Cool.
All right, cool. So Rick, I'm going to let you lead off then with Vivid-Pix. I don't know if you want to talk about the metadata first or the documents, whichever you feel you want to do.
Sounds great. Well, let me give you a quick hello. It's great spending time with you tonight. Vivid-Pix is a company. We've been around for 8 years. Our restore software for 5. As of the end of last year, it had sold in 36 countries. And we as a company, we've been around for 8 years. Our underwater software is where we started. And as of the end of last year, it had sold in 116 countries. So I like saying that Randy, my business partner, is the smart one, because he is. He literally holds over 150 patents in color and image science with Kodak, and that's where Randy and I met. I'm a business guy, and Randy is an inventor. And because I'm a business guy, I developed different products to go to market in the past, and we decided to form a company and go into business together. So that's a very quick, high level, who is Vivid-Pix? But I know that you are here in order to be able to see our software. So I'm going to share my screen. And what I'm going to be doing here is to go through a full let's go around the software. And I'll bring up different images in order to be able to show you different features. And I will absolutely cover photos and documents and metadata and a couple more things. So what we've designed is software that uses patented artificial intelligence to analyze an image and adjust color, contrast, lightness, and brightness all at once. So you simply select one or more images. This is my testing set, as you would imagine. Before we release a product, we go through lots of different softwares or lots of different images in order to be able to make sure it's doing everything that we want it to. Let's grab that. Let's grab that. A tin type, another document. Actually, this is kind of a fun one. I don't usually use that one. That's an old flapper photo. Why don't I use an old holiday card, be seasonal, and I'll come back to a document since that was requested. So what we were able to do is adjust JPEG files, TIFF files, PNG, DNG, raw images, all with the one software program. We have different fixed types. So a faded printer slide, a badly faded printer slide, a digital or cell phone camera image, which is quite similar to the fix of badly faded, a document. And this was a request. We listen a lot to what you all ask for. And because we've created this very easy to use metadata adding to images, we created this path for folks to be able to simply add metadata and not image correct. So since this is a document, the software has analyzed the image, and the center image is what the software feels is best, but everyone sees lightness and contrast differently. So in the bottom left, it has more contrast, less light, and in the top right, it has less contrast and more light. So I'm just going to select the middle one, and with one click, we've been able to make all this quite a bit more legible of this old envelope. But let's say that you were looking at it and you're saying, well, I want to take a look at a different one. So maybe the top left. Just that easy, you're able to choose a different image. So as I said, I'm going to go around to different parts of our software feature. And this is a new release feature that we just launched in Mac in September and in July, I think, in Windows. So let's say that you are interested in this stamp. So I am left clicking my mouse where I wish it to start. I'm releasing where I wish it to end. And now I'm focusing the algorithm just on this stamp. And all of a sudden, I've got two more buttons that have popped up here in the top right. And one of them is to recalculate the cropped image. So I'm able to click that. Now I'm applying the algorithm just to that area. And that looks a whole lot better to me. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden, I'm able to really read that information. Now, reset image crop is going to bring it back up to the 2-up view, which may or may not be best for the whole image. But again, you are applying the algorithm at one specific area. And what's helpful when you're dealing with, for instance, documents, and those documents have faded, either faded or the lighting was different when you were capturing the original information. You know how, like with censuses, they have dark areas around the edge and more lit in the middle? And that was just the exposure is off, the lighting was off. So and oftentimes with old documents, there's mold that can accumulate on those documents. So this allows you to literally just crop in on the area that you're interested in, and again, use that recalculate cropped image mode.
Hey, Rick, I'm sorry to
Sure.
interrupt. Ask a question.
Of course.
So when you recalculate it for that cropped, that closer up image on that stamp, so it reapplies the change to the entire thing. Is it easy to go back? Say if it's, or like I'm interested in the postmark actually, and I thought,
sure,
when it comes up, that's too bright for the postmark, so that you can. Do you just go back to the original to look at a postmark or a different part of the document?
Absolutely. So I could bring it back out to look at the whole area. I could then crop in on the postmark, mm-hmm. and then I could ask it to recalculate based on that.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that definitely makes it much more readable.
And then if I wanted to, within the detail edit, so, there's nothing up here, and that's mm-hmm. why there's very little to read up here, but I'm able to tweak in on any area that I'm interested in. So let's say I wanted to see it a little bit differently. I can reduce the lightness, which is bringing forth a little bit more of the detail that mm-hmm. was gone over here. So for instance, this, we now are able to clearly see that that's an N.
Right. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's so important because those postmarks are important.
Absolutely. So what we've covered so far then is recalculate crop and resetting the crop. So in Mac mode, these two screens of easy edit and in detail edit features are all on one screen. In Windows, we've separated it into two screens. So on easy edit mode, we've got faded, badly faded, digital, faded document or text. So if I wanted to go back to any of those, No image correction at this point really isn't applicable. And then down here in select image mode, it is a full color fix. So it would be inappropriate here to turn it into a black and white, but that's what it's for, or to improve an old sepia tone. So these are reapplying an additional layer of fix depending on the type of image it is, the image mode. This is also where we have rotating, and then you can do slight variances in the horizontal as well. We are varying it at 0.5 degree per shift for these tilt adjustments. As I come across the bottom here, now I'm going to go to Detail Edit, and now I can fine tune using the lightness slider, the contrast slider, the vividness, which is color saturation. So by reducing the color saturation, I'm able to get a little bit more detail to come into this. And saturation is saying, this is a color image. I'm going to push in more of the colors. And when I reduce it, I get it closer and closer to a black and white image. So this is maybe with some of those more difficult ones, you can really narrow yourself in to an individual area.
That makes sense. Yes, I confess I haven't played around with those more detailed edits as much as I do the easy edits. But
Sure.
yes, I definitely see where I need to be doing a little bit more through that.
Well, that's why you're having me on tonight.
That's why I'm having you on there, so I can learn as well. Definitely. Definitely.
And then from a color feature perspective, you can fine tune and adjust your cyan, your magenta, and your yellow, or your red, green, blue. A little trick is that blue does a very nice job of turning things a little bit more white by adding a little bit of blue. Oh. And as you can see, I've continued to sharpen the transition, the variance between the background image and the text images. So the text part of the image. So again, little tweaks with what fine tuning can do to really help bring out the details in the image. So if I bring it all the way to the back, I've got a reset correction. This brings me to the 9-up. I'm able to click on an image. I'm able to look at an area. I'm able to recalculate. And then I can have different fine tuning depending on what it is I'm looking for. Now, from an organization standpoint, we never affect the original image. So in some software programs, you have to make a duplicate image before you're starting to image correct, or you eliminate the original scanned image, and you never want to lose your original scanned image. You don't want to try to color correct on top of a color correct. Right. So what we do is automatically create the suffix of vivid. So let's say this is 123 JPEG or TIFF. It becomes 123 vivid JPEG or TIFF. And then we also produce different size images, which I'll show you when we come over to preferences. So that's what this suffix does. And you must have a value, i.e. vivid, or if you want to rename that suffix, you must always have a name in here, and that's how we don't affect your original. But let's say this, let's say this was Hamlin. What do you think that is? Hamlin, last name?
Yep, Hamlin. That's what it looks to me.
Okay. So let's say that I'm doing the research on W.B. Hamlin or H.B. Hamlin. And I want to put all of the images having to do with Hamlin into a folder. Well, I can simply rename this folder name Hamlin. And when I save the fixed images, it will go into the Hamlin folder. So that's a nice way to be able to organize things.
That is nice.
Cool. So with this as well, let's play with metadata for a minute. So up here at the top, we have view edit metadata. So I can click on show all metadata values, and all the existing metadata is coming into view. But I want to be able to title it. So this is Hamlin envelope if I could type. This is probably 1880. Author is, I'm going to just say myself. I can put anything else I want in here. Image tags are a great way to be able to search for things. So, and I'll show you this in a couple of moments, but I can type in different words separated by commas, and then search for these words, and all the images within your hard drive or your file manager are going to be able to be searched and found because you took the time to tag the images. So this is really going to make it easy for folks to be able to find things. And this is one of the great powers of metadata. If copyright, you're interested in putting in there, if it's a great photo, you're able to rate the importance of the photo. And then I'm able to save that.
All right. Let me ask you a quick question. Robin had a question. And she said to the metadata, so when you put in the metadata like that, will it stay with the file if it's emailed to someone else, or if it's uploaded to Ancestry? Does it stay or does it get stripped out?
So those are two questions. So the first one is we put all the information into the image metadata. So it is with the file. So in email, all of that information is going to be staying with the image. Whether Ancestry or another company is going to strip the metadata, that's going to be up to that system. For instance, Facebook strips metadata for whatever reasons. I can't tell you offhand whether Ancestry does or not.
Is there a way to find that out? I mean, I can always call and ask them, but is there a way to actually look at the photo, like once you upload it, to see if it has the metadata attached to it on Ancestry, or is that just kind of beyond what we're able to look at?
Not something that I'll do here on this review, but if the person, anyone, you yourself, you uploaded an image into Ancestry, and if they have the ability for you to be able to look at its metadata, anything that if they're not stripping metadata, then everything that you put into the metadata within Restore is still going to be there.
Okay, gotcha. And then Robin asked if the metadata can be added to PDF documents or just images. I have no idea.
Yep, great clarification. PDF is not an image file, so we do not adjust PDF files.
Right.
It's kind of like a Word document. It's a document. A PDF is a document. It's not an image file. Great question.
Good questions, Robin.
Okay, so now I've played with view edit metadata. In Zoom transcribe, and I'll show this on another image as well, but by clicking Zoom transcribe, as you can see over here in the comments section, I had typed in Boone County, and that notation is staying with the image. But if this was a different document, which again, I'll show you one in a little bit, I'm able to zoom in, I'm able to move around within a document, and then I'm able to type anything I want. So this is quite easy to be able to transcribe information like a census where you're really zooming in order to be able to make something legible. You're able to improve it, thus making it legible. You're able to zoom into the area, make your notes, save it, and then within the view edit metadata, all that information is also there.
Okay.
So now when you save it, you're saving it directly into the image file as well.
That makes sense. It's a nice way to transcribe and be able to see. I like being able to zoom in and see, because sometimes it's so hard to read the smaller handwritings.
Exactly correct. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to keep this Hamlin folder open. We'll play with the Hamlin folder just because. So again, I was dealing with documents before, so this came up as being a document as well. Again, the software feels that the center image is best. I'm going to run with that. I'm able to zoom into an area. So this is Richard Voigt is my dad. So the son of Irwin. And now I'm able to read things a whole lot better. And this is an example of why does information change in different records. So I was named Richard Irwin Voigt with an E, and my grandfather's name was Richard Irwin with an E. But here in the 1940 census, the person wrote it down and it kind of got mixed up. So when I do my history, I find Irwin with an I frequently, which is too bad. And again, now if I wanted to, I can zoom in. Now I've got all the information available within this 1940 census. And now I can type in, Voigt, Irwin, anything I want. I'm going to save it in the Zoom transcribe. And then similarly, so again, that was in the Zoom transcribe. And then similarly in the view edit metadata, that information is there, and I can add additional information as well.
Judy had a question about, she wanted to know how much information you can put in the comment section. Is there a limit?
Technically, there is no limit. I happen to sit on in a group that it's called the Family History Metadata Working Group. That there are a number of companies that are working on creating metadata standards. I'm co-chair on it. A person from Family Search is the chair on it. A number of different companies are working together to try to create metadata standards. So the answer is metadata currently does not have a limit. And within each one of those cells, we like saying try to keep it under 10,000, which is a whole bunch of characters, but there's not a limit.
Okay. But does it make the file big? I mean, the more you put in there, I'm assuming the bigger the file is too. Is that right?
It will, but text is pretty small in the scheme of things from an image file. It's a good question, but it's a text character is quite small from an image file perspective.
That makes sense.
Yep. So I'm hitting save next. Another document, because you all wanted documents. So this is an interesting one. So when and I'll cover colorization at this point maybe as well. So when we first started coming to market, technically, this is a black and white newspaper. So if I am restoring this to an original form, I should turn this to black and white. But some people do like to keep a little bit of the fade, a little bit of the edge, the age. Personal preferences, and personal preference as well, probably having to do with the photo or document wanting to keep it as a more aged item, as opposed to I want to make this thing look just as great as it looked the day it came out of the camera or the day it was printed. The MyHeritage colorization is really cool. It is allowing people to come from a black and white. There's no color information in a black and white image. Doesn't exist. So what artificial intelligence and machine learning, potentially some deep learning, is doing is that based on analyzing a lot of different images, it'll look at a face and it'll say, skin tone, or it'll look at an area of a photograph and it'll say, that should be white. So I'm going to take that information as meaning white. And I'm going to look at a sky, and a sky's supposed to be blue. And the good news is that oftentimes it's right. The unfortunate things is sometimes it's not. One of the comments earlier came in saying it didn't work correctly on flesh tone or something else. So it's a cool tool. Oftentimes it's right, sometimes it's not. It's just not an area from Vivid-Pix that we're working to be able to restore images to make them look better and to make them look more like what they did look like when they were first photographed and or printed.
Gotcha. Robin did clarify. She thought when you were showing the color adjustments earlier that was like a colorization type of thing. So she had kind of misunderstood that, but that was a great clarification too. Definitely.
Cool. So at a Roots Tech a couple of years ago, there was a lady that we were playing with an old photograph of my aunt, and technically it was a black and white photo. And she hated it when I turned it black and white because she wanted to make sure that it kept some of the fade. It's all personal preference. So if I'm happy, I hit save. And this time I'm going to show you some things that are happening up here at the top. So let's say that I had pulled up this image about Judy, and this really wasn't the image that I wanted to be playing with. I could just skip this image, and that way it's not going to be going into either the Hamlin folder or any other folder of being fixed images. So skip one. Skip all images is clearing everything that you have in the queue. So right now there are 4 images left in the queue. Everything that I have fixed so far are no longer in the output queue. If I hit save, you would see it go into the save next area. So cropping is another function that we provide. So we have a freeform crop, a square crop, a 4x6, a 5x7, and a 4x5. So freeform is again, I'm able to click anywhere I want. I'm able to release anywhere I want, and that's the image. I'm able to go into a detail edit. I might add a smidge more lightness to that, and it's a pretty cool, from a newspaper, this is pretty cool, pretty great fix. But if I wanted to reset the image crop, it comes back into the same area. Let's say, though, that you wanted to be able to print an image. And let's say that you were planning on printing out a 4x6 print, which is the aspect ratio of a 35mm negative. Well, you could click that 4x6. It's going to warn me and say that I'm going to stay in that aspect ratio until I change it. And now when I click at the top and I drag, it's always going to stay at a 4x6 aspect ratio, either vertically or horizontally. So the benefit of that is when you get to the lab, if you're wanting to print something, you don't have to readjust.
Okay, that's a good.
In addition, in the cropping, 5x7 was determined to be a size that was pleasing for an enlargement. Um, um, I think Kodak probably liked selling a little bit more paper at the time, so they made the 5x7. And then 4x5 was a standard size film. And that's the reason why 8x10 became a standard enlargement, because it was the aspect ratio of the film. So these are the reasons why we have a 20x30 poster, because it was a 4x6 35 millimeter, or an 8x10 enlargement because it was a 4x5 film, and those sizes took hold.
Interesting. That's interesting.
So if I'm happy, I'm going to just dismiss this one. So what happened? Oh, let me come across here. View, edit, metadata, and then preferences. There's a lot going on here. So this area here, lightness, contrast, spread, that has to do with how far, when I had the 9-up screen and the software felt that the center image was the best. If you're a good photographer and you tend to get your images very close to being right, you can reduce the contrast spread and the lightness spread, and it's just going to tighten up the adjustments. So that's a photography tool. Sharpening radius and sigma. As I mentioned earlier, we started off in the business of improving underwater photos. And because water is much more dense than air, and because it's liquid, it's blurry, we needed to get very good at sharpening an image so that you were able to see a fish well or coral reef well or those types of things. So the sharpening radius is an overall sharpness, and then sharpening sigma based at the pixel level, and then the sigma is then I want to really expand the sharpness on those edges, and that's the sharpening sigma. So again, there's as I like saying, we've made the software very easy to use. Like Lisa, you were saying earlier, there are a lot more features inside Restore that you've never used before. And that's why we created the software, because you really didn't have to. But there's a lot more underneath the hood as well.
It's nice to know that it's there, definitely, to be able to go and do a little bit more. So I'm excited about trying some of those that I haven't tried. Just now that I'm comfortable with the basics, to be able to try those that haven't used as much. Definitely.
Cool. Now, JPEG compression. A lot of people don't have a strong preference towards TIFF versus JPEG. And JPEG, technically, yes. Every time you open and close an image, it is compressing the image, and it is slightly altering the amount of information that's remaining available within the image. But JPEG is an incredibly great way to be able to reduce the size of files. TIFF, for instance, a 2 megabyte JPEG file is probably 20 megabytes in a TIFF file.
Wow.
So it's a lot easier to be working in a JPEG. When we first came to market, the way our software works is that I'll bring up an old photograph in a moment, but the fade that's happening, the reason why our 1960s and 70s and 80s photos are red is that the red of the red, green, blue has become more dominant in the image due to fading, and that's due to both paper as well as the dyes. So when we fix something, we push in more of the blue and the green, for an example, in order to have the RGB line up properly for color balance. But when we first were coming out, we literally were tripling the size of image files in JPEG because we were pushing in more color. and the market said to us, we want the fixed image to be roughly the same size as the original. But okay, so this is why we have the 90 parameter on JPEG compression, and then a compression limit as well. But if you bring both of these up to 100, it will not further compress the JPEG file to be smaller. Okay. Here we implemented, and this was a feature that just happened in September in Mac, and we did it in February on Windows for Roots Tech. But we are able to, and TIFF we've been able to process since we first launched Restore, but to be able to also process different cameras RAW, PNG, BMP, all of these are called lossless files. So when we bring in any of those types of image types, we can improve those. So great versatility for different image types. The default when you bring in a lossless is to output a full-size TIFF, a full-size JPEG, and a sharing size JPEG. And the sharing size JPEG is so that if you're emailing it to someone, or if you're uploading an image to an ancestry or someone, and they limit the size of the files that you're able to upload, I'm sure Ancestry does a very nice job not calling them out. Anyone, when you're saving an image file, you are doing compression if you're reducing the size. So we do it within the program very well. I'll just say that.
And you do, I can speak because from, as a blogger, and if you guys have family, like, your own blogs for your families and stuff, when I correct my photos through Vivid-Pix, and then I use that sharing JPEG to upload because I need it to be a little bit smaller to keep things running smoothly on the back end of a website. So for my purposes, so yeah, absolutely, I like having those variations there.
Cool. And it happens automatically. But if somebody said, you know what, if I'm bringing in a TIFF, I don't want anything else, you can just turn them off.
Yeah.
And that's just done in the preferences. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is possible. So let's say that you are using a cell phone camera, or you're using a scanner that is scanning in JPEG, but you've heard that TIFF has the best long time archiving benefit. We actually, on the fly, we can convert that JPEG to a TIFF image.
Nice.
So just by clicking that TIFF on, you're able to output out a TIFF.
That's nice. I didn't know that.
And that's why you invited me tonight.
That's why I invited you. See, I'm learning so much already. See, guys, it was for me as much as for you guys. Definitely.
This area down here, commercial use, API and SDK, we license our software to others. We're being used in a lot of different locations. This is for commercial application, so not something that the average consumer needs to be thoughtful of.
Okay.
So I'm going to save these settings the way that they are. I'm going to press OK. And we've now covered most of the functionality. But I'm going to leave this area down here, custom settings, for another moment. So if I'm happy, I'm going to save this. And this is now a faded printer slide. It happens to be a tin type. And I'm going to again choose the middle image. And we've brought forth a lot more detail in the dress. Colorization in the cheeks, but we're also able to see now that this is likely from the 1840s or 50s. So the tin type, the tin has started to deteriorate, for lack of a better word. And this is a time when unsharpening is helpful. So we always have sharpening enabled unless you disable it. So you lose the sharpness, but I was able to get rid of some of the noise that was happening within the image just by unsharpening.
It does look nice.
And I hit save. So this is one, I think it's, yeah, New York Public Library. So old flapper days. So I selected the middle image. This is, again, I rarely show this when I just happen to pick it up. I love seeing how we're able to bring forth just a very old faded photo, and all these colors are now brought back to life.
Exactly. I was surprised to see the colors when I was like, oh, I just assumed it would be kind of a black and white. I didn't realize it actually would have color in it.
So we're pretty happy with, again, background on Randy and I. So I celebrated 35 years in the photo business this year. Randy longer than that. And when we first came out with our software, it was designed to improve photos. It's our background. And Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana, they were the folks that actually realized how good of a job we were doing on documents. So Randy created an algorithm, again, the smart one, to be able to improve documents.
That's funny. That's funny.
All
right, I was just checking for some questions here.
Okay.
I know that, all right, hang on one second. Oh, there it is. I knew I had to go back and find it, I think. Oh, wait a minute, where did it go? So Joan had a question on this. She said she has a 15-inch PC screen and the controls on the bottom of the program do not show and she can't use it. Or do you have any suggestions for that?
Absolutely. What it is the way that you have your display set, it's cutting off some of the screen. So let us jump out to the internet here for a moment. I have to get out of here first. So.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Joan, I'll show you in a second how we can fix that. Okay, so this is an old Christmas photo of ours. I'm probably around 6 here. And this is an example of how the crop recalculate can really help. If you've seen any of our advertising and marketing, you've seen this picture. So I'm going to crop on that area. I'm going to recalculate. And what had happened is all this white area had confused the algorithm. But by cropping into the area and saying, nope, this is the portion of the image that I wanted to be able to improve, just that easy, we were able to let the software know where the important area of the image was and then recalculate it.
Very good. That's a cute picture, by the way.
Thank you. So what I'm going to share here is this custom settings. Right now it's sitting in calculated from the 9 up. But let's say that I wanted to save this setting and apply it to other images. So this is roughly 1968 faded photo, to pick it. I now have created this algorithm to be a preset that I can apply to additional images. So let's say that I had gone to my local drugstore, I had processed a bunch of images. They were all sitting in the envelope that we used to get our pictures back, and they faded at the same rate. Now, as opposed to going through the 9 up step, I'm able to simply apply this fix to multiple pics or documents. So this custom settings is super handy to be able to speed things up. and it bypasses the 9-up flow.
Nice.
Similarly, the calculated starting setting, you'll find that the center image is very effective. And if you want to just bypass the 9-up all the time and just say, I trust the software, just always give me the center image, you can just select the calculated starting setting, bypass the 9, and each image will come up and be fixed in that automatic center image. So again, really easy. And then if in fact you wanted to change the setting of that preset, you would adjust it, you'd hit update. This obviously is not a great idea, but you'd be able to update the setting as well.
Nice.
And I just can't leave it looking like that. I just can't. And then I'm happy, and I hit save next. Actually, I'm going to turn it back to the 9-up process. I like working in the 9-up process.
I do too, because I would say, 9 times out of 10, I take that middle one, but every now and then, maybe I take, like on this one, maybe I would take the one on the far, the center one on the far right column for whatever reason.
Yep. And here, this is a document. So the center one is probably doing a fairly good job. But you're absolutely right. As good as the software is, every once in a while, it's nice to be able to choose one of those other 8 images.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a quick question about the color buttons down below?
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier that like if you add blue, that will make, say, the image look whiter looking. Do you have any other tips as far as like making? Are there any other quick tips like adding a certain color or going a certain way would change on a photo?
That's a great question. So sepia tone. So if we think about the progression of photography, basically you started with daguerreotypes, then you went to tintypes in the 1840s and 1850s. And then tintype stayed around till around the 1880s. And then it started to be going to paper, and in the processing bath is when you started to have sepia tone of yellows and reds. And there is not a sepia tone perfect. It was an art form actually to be able to bring forth a different tone. There was a cyan, was it a cyan type that was, for a little bit that they wanted to make them cyan. But because it was up to the preference of the developer, that's why it would be in more yellow or more red. And it was the amount of time that they were leaving it in the processing bath. Similarly, you might like, and this isn't the right image to do it with, but you might like it to have more of a sepia tone like this. So I find the yellow and the red really, really helpful when playing with the old black and white and when playing with the old sepia tone images, because it allows you to be able to fine tune. I have one, so let me reset, because again, it drives me nuts. I gotta have them look great. And I hit save. So I'm gonna reach back up and restore pics and other people's pictures. And I like working, I do a lot of work with Allen County. So where's Allen County? They have their own file up here probably. Yeah, Allen County Public Library. Yeah, that's when you're doing the scanning job. Restore pics. There will be a method to my madness. I promise. It's like here, I've played with MyHeritage. Thought it was in other people's. If you see it, yell at me. There we go.
Okay. I see a lot of people I know in there, but let's see.
So here's one that came out of the Lincoln Connect collection.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this came from 1850, 1860. And I'm able to improve this old image quite quickly. But I know instinctually that this could probably have either a little bit more yellow or red based on the photographing of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can crop in, and then I can fine tune that sepia depending on how I wanted Abe to be coming out.
Okay.
So I like using, so again, question, how do I use the different colors? Cyan and red I use a lot with black and white and or sepia tone. Randy, business partner, and I were actually talking today about how much do we think people are using the color functions, and most people are not. Most people are using the algorithms, and then they're fine tuning with the lightness and contrast. In order to really make their images do what it is they want them to do.
Yeah. And I have to say, that's probably what I do most of the time. But I do go to the colors some, but usually for my purposes, I'm usually just sticking to the algorithms.
Yep. And then I hit save. So let me come back to the question on the wrong size. Are you looking at a picture of my daughter right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so that's my daughter. She's my pride and joy. She's a captain in the Air Force. So I'm going to go into Vivid-Pix. And if you go over to support here and contact support, just drop in your information and describe what it is, exactly what you just described. Person, I apologize, I don't remember your name. To say, my screen is cutting off the bottom portion of the controls. What do I do? And Cindy will send back a note letting you know how to adjust your display settings so that nothing is cut off.
Yeah. So Joan, yes, that was Joan's question. So yeah, Joan, just contact them and they will take care of that for you and tell you how to do it. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, since I'm in here in the website itself, we create lots of different tutorials. So just come into support, click on the tutorials button, and different features are explained with tutorials. That I should have. So, detail controls, tutorials, cropping. There's two of them on metadata. So hopefully that's helpful to y'all. And then wanted to point out, and I know that Lisa's going to share a couple of links for y'all to be able to save some money. Here in the education section, when COVID started, all of our worlds changed, right? And I literally, if you know anything about me, I like traveling around the country a lot in a fairly nice conversion van. And I was going to all the different events and had scheduled myself out for 5.5 months to be out on the road, but the world changed. So we ended up creating this section, genealogy education, where you're able to come and watch free classes on Friday nights for free. We record them and they're available for streaming as well. I got to speaking with a few friends in the library community, and we ended up creating a whole class series. Right now we're halfway through the class series for teaching genealogy to our nation's librarians and internationally to librarians. So literally experts in genealogy and how genealogy is helpful to librarians. And then what we literally just press released today is something called gathering traditions. So COVID is affecting all of us a lot. Where if we listen to the guidance, we probably don't want to be getting in large groups. We probably don't want to fly somewhere, get off an airplane and walk into a party and infect other people, i.e. travel restrictions as well. So we ended up creating a whole series of classes on how to hold events via Zoom. So for any of our friends who know Dear Myrtle and Cousin Russ, they did a great job of creating all kinds of tutorials on using Zoom for family gatherings. And then we also have created activities that y'all are able to do now that you're on a call, having a Thanksgiving dinner or any number of things. You're able to cover different topics. So family history interviews with those that we can speak with. So, and this is Kenyatta Berry. I don't know if you, so if you know Kenyatta, so I know you do. so Kenyatta, she was the host of Genealogy Roadshow on PBS for 5 seasons. Great lady. So she goes through a series of different classes. And like Dan Earl here, he wishes he had done an interview with his mom. His mom has passed. So trying to create time capsules of information about the people, whether it be because we're connecting during the holidays or whether you want it to be part of your genealogy research, you combine these 2 sections on how do you hold a Zoom class and then how do you ask questions and the like. And now hopefully we've added some tools for y'all to be able to enjoy the holidays a whole bunch more. Those
are great. Those are so cool. It's interesting you're doing that. I don't even think I've told you, Rick, but I mean, some of my folks know that. So my daughter and I started a new website called the Food Memory Project, and it's all about gathering memories and documenting memories centered around family meals and family foods and things like that. So yeah, that's cool. Cool. Well, let me stop sharing. Sure. And that way, if there are more questions, and I get to look at you as opposed to my software screen. I know, we can see you. Okay, so Joan said, do we need to renew anything or just update the program? I guess she's asking if it's a renewal type thing or if it's just a one-time buy. Yep. So we sell Restore the old-fashioned way. So you buy it once and we give free updates. So as an example, when we added the ability to fix documents, that was a free update. When we added the ability to add metadata, that was a free update. When we added the ability to be able to bring in all these different image types, that was a free update. Not saying that there's ever going to be there's not going to ever be a charged upgrade, but we've been in business selling Restore now for 5 years and every update has been free. Yeah, definitely. And Lori wants to know if Vivid-Pix can be put on more than one device once you purchase it. How many devices can it go on? Yep. When you purchase the software, you're able to put it on 2 devices. So when you purchase, you download the software, whether it was Mac or Windows, and we send you an email that says, thank you for your purchase. If you'd like to install on a second computer, click here. And then you're able to open up that email on a second computer. And then you're able to download it and put it on the second computer. We also know that computer hard drives crash and people buy new computers and those types of things. So we keep track if people are gaming us and trying to get more free copies. But we understand that, again, computers crash and those types of things. So that's another reason for using support,
drop Cindy a note and she'll get you back up with another copy.
And she's fast. She's fast to respond, definitely. All right, so we had one other question. Let me see. Joan said, your daughter is beautiful. Thank you for her service. Definitely. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I will.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Let's see here. Catherine had a question. Let me go back up to the top and see, because it was about your partner, actually. I think it had to do about, she had a question about Ken. If Ken, all right, Catherine, I cannot find that. So if you have that question, put it again. She's wondering if, was the father of Ken who works with you a photographer also named Ken Ross in Memphis, Tennessee? So,
I don't know. That's a good question. No, father would not be. So Ken is from British Columbia. So probably not.
Lots of people the same names out there, definitely. So, so guys, Vivid-Pix actually is running a special through the end of December, actually now. So if you're Christmas shopping, this is the way to go, guys. It's buy one, get one free. So you can get it for yourself and give a gift to somebody else, or, you can be really gracious and give it to two people. That's the way, if that's the way you're going there. But it is, that's through end of December. So you've got, it's great, a great Christmas present. And it also, because it's also last minute and you don't, it's easy to get to people as well. So you're not having to mail things as much with all the, since we're not traveling and taking things as much. So that's there. I've got the link in the comment section. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, know that I will have that link in the description below. So once it's all said and done, I'll go into the description below because the comments will not carry over. The comments will carry over into Facebook. So that should be, everything should be good there. But I do have the several different places I've popped in that link for you to get that. So just so you know that. And if you're having trouble, just email me.
Cool. Robin, thank you. It sounds like for having been to other presentations, and I'm glad that you liked this one. And it's, Lisa, great questions, and you guys in the audience, and maybe I'm more on my game tonight. Who knows? So thank you.
These new updates have really, they just kind of take it up that next level for what I think we as researchers can use it for. And I'm real excited about those. And so I remember when you came out with that document, though, I was like, woohoo! That was my big one. So thank you so much.
I remember. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome to all. Robin, if the generous is having to do with the BOGO, I'm glad. I hope that's what it's in reference to, is the BOGO. Is we want to make sure that everyone is able to restore their history. And if we have a way for you to be able to buy it at a reasonable price and to be able to give it to somebody at a reasonable price, that's what we set out to do for the holidays. Lisa, also, if people are interested in the education class, that's another link you might want to include to folks. I think I sent that over to you earlier.
I think you did too. Let me go snag it again.
Yep.
On that. Yes, the educational classes are just fantastic with what they do on that. And very helpful too. All right, let me grab it.
Yeah, I do. As you're looking for that, I grew up in Rochester, New York, which, if anybody knows history, is where Eastman Kodak was founded. And my stepfather was one of the founders of emergency services in Rochester, New York. And so I've worked with a nonprofit group for 20 years. And this one gal today on the phone, Carol, she was describing that she doesn't, her best portion of the holidays are making sugar cookies with her grandkids, and they're not able to do it this year. And so I happened to share, these are the things that we're up to. And she said, I now know how I can make sugar cookies with my grandkids this year. And you know, now you've got the tools in order to be able to train different people to get online and to ask some of these questions. And let's make sure that we don't lose these traditions just because we're distancing ourselves to be safe.
Yes, I'm literally before we got on the call tonight, my sister-in-law had reached out and it's like, let's have another Zoom call this weekend. So I'm coordinating a Zoom call for all the family because it's been, you know, so long since we've seen my parents, and so we're looking forward to that. Definitely.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Rick. I really appreciate it. Oh, Robin was saying the software is so much easier to use than Adobe, and it's a bargain even without the special offer. Yeah, I didn't have Adobe. Yeah, for me, it was more of a learning curve than I wanted to tackle. I'm sure I could have done it. It was just more of didn't want to tackle that kind of learning curve. So anyway, well, thank you so much, guys. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. And again, I will have links in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And then I'll make sure everything's nice and tidy over on the Facebook page as well. And would love to see you over on the website, you know, at lisalisten.com, because you'll find if you can search Vivid-Pix in the search bar on the website, and also find more articles that I've written about Vivid-Pix as well. So thank you so much, Rick. I really appreciate you coming and sharing with us. And guys, have a fantastic evening. And again, thanks for taking your time out this evening and joining us. So thank you. Have a great night, guys.
Lisa, thanks for having me. Nice to see you
You're
all.
welcome. No problem. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.